Well, good morning, boys and girls. Welcome back to our trading room, our Tuesday morning trading room. 3rd of February. I don't know about you, it just seems a lot later. I have lost all track of the days. All right. For those of you who are new to the room this morning, welcome. What you're looking at is the diversified trading system. And the way I have my charts set up, I have the Hawk Scalper here in the top left, the Falcon Swing Trader top right, Eagle Trend Trader bottom left, and the Raptor on the bottom right. Wow, another day where we're getting a rather impressive move right out of the gate. Certainly enough to hit our first profit objective. The charts that you're looking at on this monitor are the NASDAQ. On my other monitor, I'm also watching soybeans and crude oil. But you know what? I have had a request for the E-mini, so let's throw the E-mini up on the other monitor as well. We'll take a look at what's going on in the E-mini. Well, the fur is flying out of the gate here. Oops! I was just about to take advantage of this first micro-macro cross signal here in the NQ. It looks like they just tagged our first profit target. It's one thing when I'm trading on my own instead of moderating a room, and I don't take the time to explain things, it is a little bit easier to take advantage of these signals as they're firing. But it seems the last couple of days, sometimes I go to explain something and the market bolts on me. The hazards of running a trading room. That would make a good blog post. Hazards of a trade room monitor. All right, getting a bit of a 4-arrow consolidation type thingy going on here with the Hawk. And I'm going to shoot a trend line across the tops here. Oftentimes when I do these trend lines and these channels, I like to see them running fairly parallel to each other. That doesn't mean the market needs to stay inside of here, but a lot of times when you get a market breaking out, it will show when the market gets overextended. Okay, we do have a 4-arrow consolidation here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 arrows, and we get a chance at a second push entry. We know the current limits of these bars, and I'll probably choose to enter it something like this. I am making the market move a little bit further than intended because the entry point was right here. And of course it's still a little early. We did get a trend change signal here in the Falcon, which I suspected. So here's the same signal that we're looking at here on the Falcon. Oh, look at this nice bounce here off of primary support, or primary resistance, I should say. That would be the resistance line above the median line. It tends to be that the lines above and below, the primary resistance, primary support, tend to be fairly strong. And then once it gets past those, well, then we have a little bit more freedom between the lines. All right, let's see how our trade is progressing here. Come on, get on up there. Okay, it looks like it's starting to build into a bit of a macro pullback. And I hear a trend signal. Okay, so the early morning rally is dying down somewhat. Oh, here on the Raptor we have this reversal signal that we've been entertaining, where I've been watching this as it reaches the soft edge of the band. When we get a yellow pink, in the case of a uptrend, a yellow red signal, it has a tendency to retrace to the hard edge. So it's something I've been watching, not something that I've mentioned to you here in the room, but not something that we've added to the Raptor assortment. But you see, here's another one. Encounters the soft edge, and it has a tendency to retrace. So it almost seems like the wider the band, the better. Here's another one. Encounters the band, and then it retraces. So we'll see how this one works out. Interesting. James says the YM Raptor doesn't have that at all. We'll have to take a look at that. All right, let's see if we can't get a better handle on what's going on. Oh, stinkers. They came down low enough, hit my stop loss order in spite of my deep stop, and then chose to rally. Well, that's not very nice. It almost seems with the NQ, the way it's been the last few weeks, you have to take it right out of the gate, like just grab that first signal and run with it, because it seems like it's almost like they're storming the gates. Here's the signal, let's go with it. Okay, we're getting something resembling a testing of the extreme. Oh, before I leave this, let's talk a little bit about this 4-arrow consolidation. Most times, the better 4-arrow consolidations will look a little bit more like a bull flag, or in the case of a downtrend, a bear flag. Right, so we have price come down, and then we have the market start to signal, and usually on that fourth time, it's going to resume the trend. This 4-arrow consolidation didn't really have this type of formation to it. Sometimes they'll go sideways as well, which is acceptable. But you see, this one actually had a little bit of an upslope on it, which made me a touch suspicious on it. It may still work out, but unfortunately, like I said, my stop was apparently not deep enough. Okay, today actually seems to be a little bit more normal. A lot of times, the first half hour of trading, certainly the first 15 minutes of trading, I try not to get too excited. For those of you who have been in the trading room before, especially during the profit run sessions, you'll know that at around quarter to the hour, we get a signal that looks oh so tempting, but seems to have very little follow through to it. Here's that raptor signal again, that yellow-red combination. Oh, and are they going to give me a chance to get in? Now notice Trade Manager automatically puts a stop in. Now it's a little bit tight. I would actually risk it up here. We'll see if we can't retrace to the hard edge on this one. Whenever you do a counter trend signal, it's to your advantage to leave your stops above a significant swing point. Well, in the case of shorting. In the case of a downtrend, below a significant swing point. This is one of the perks of being a trading room moderator, is that I can experiment with stuff like this. No. Yeah, see, counter trend signals. All right, well, take a look at what's going on here in our hawk. You can see we're getting very choppy. We have a little bit of a trading range going on. And I'll show you whatever might look interesting, but we may have to wait for the market to get outside of that range before we can do anything with it. Oh, looks like they heard me. Okay. We are getting outside, or barely outside of this trading range. And when you get outside of a trading range, what you're looking for is you're looking for the market to, at some point, retest this trading range before heading higher. So this little segment through here, this one right here, is what we're on the lookout for now. This is also our first micro-macro cross signal, which we know to be a pretty reliable signal. I'm going to postpone my entry just a little bit because I haven't had much success on the first couple signals. And what I'm going to do is we'll have a runner in play also. Here on the E-mini, we had a much better 4-arrow consolidation. It actually turned out to be a 3-arrow consolidation. Notice this type of arrangement, and it also developed into a macro pullback. Another one down here. Excuse me, a 3-arrow consolidation. But it has that characteristic bull flag type look to it, which gives us a little bit more confidence in the signal. Okay, we can close that up and perhaps build it differently. And what I'm looking for here is a possible macro pullback. Oh, sorry, I was a little too quick on that cancel button. There we go. Oh, Eric. All right. I hear swing trade also. Oh, you guys. Oh, they are not playing nice today. All right. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Okay. So we've got the Raptor signal. We did have a double pullback, which we know tends to be a good prelude to the Raptor signal. And we're getting a nice signal right here. It's also similar to a soft edge bounce. Okay, well, that's all right. It's retreating from the signal. That's fine. Looks like they're really trying to find their way. They're having a hard time. All right, we're getting a first micro-macro cross signal here in the hawk. Notice we're up against the hard edges here on the eagle and the raptor. Does that mean the market cannot go lower? No, absolutely not. It just means that sometimes we need to be a little bit extra cautious. Well, how can we be extra cautious on something like this? Well, an easy way is just to postpone your entry a little bit. Make sure that they take out the swing low, especially in this case, it's only maybe 3 ticks to get the better entry. Another thing you can do is you can run a deeper stop. Another thing you can do is you can dial down the risk amount, so that if they do bring you in, we've got a little less money in play. But they seem to be lacking any sort of commitment one way or the other right now. We did have our test of the extreme, did you notice? We had our test of the extreme right here. We should have seen a bounce, right? This should have resulted in a move higher, but it did not. Rather, it's come down. Now they're testing the bottom end of this trading range, which seems to fall right about here. They're building into a 4-arrow consolidation. This one looks a little bit better in that it's more sideways versus the one that we looked at back here, which actually had a bit of an upslope to it. Now we're getting a macro pullback signal, but they've gone into yellow bars. So we'll close that out for now. Yellow bars, of course, show a lack of commitment. Okay, we're working on a warning dot here on the eagle. So I can park a buy signal. I may choose to go above the ATR, and I'm going to try to cover it right down there. think I'm going to go with a swing low, just given the way the market is today. The lack of follow through and everything. It's these yellow bars, not very encouraging. The same yellow bars you can see cropping up more and more here on the Raptor. It makes for very difficult trading. Working on a trend change or a possible trend change here in the Falcon, but even the Falcon, look at our filter. Look at how it's breaking up. It still has a bit of an upward bias to it, but some very deep retracements and a lack of follow through one way or the other. All right, looks like they did bring us in on our Eagle trade. The problem with this, of course, when the market starts going sideways is that we don't want this leg that we're on to become the test of the extreme, right? We don't want this leg to go up here, fail, and turn. Compare today's session with what we saw yesterday, where the market would give us a signal, we would have higher support, and it would follow through off the higher support. Today we're not getting that. We're not getting that at all. All we're getting are these 1 or 2 tick trends. They bring us in, go in our direction for a tick or two, and then decide to go the other way. Okay, here comes the E-mini with a trend line touch. Oh, and we actually had a late filter entry signal right here. This is the E-mini on the Falcon, and you can see we're actually at our second resistance zone. Just a little bit of a note: when the market bounces off of primary resistance or primary support, it will have a tendency to move 2 zones. So here's zone 1 and here's zone 2. And we're kind of on the upper end of that zone. But we are getting a warning dot. It is a continuation signal. It's what we refer to as the trend line touch. When price comes down, touches the trend line, and comes out of it. So we're getting our warning dots. Some people like to use these support and resistance lines as guides when they're entering their trades. So you could choose to place your entry above there. And let's see about a swing low. Okay, so there's the signal has since negated itself, so we'll clear that. And we'll wait for the next possible signal. So the E-mini, as you might expect, also floundering a little bit. Ooh, Tom says the YM is flying. Hold on a second here. We'll get the YM up. James says the NQ not at all in sync with what's going on in the YM or the E-mini, and I can see that. Tom says the YM is up 140. Yeah, the NQ only 14. Well, that's tech stocks for you, right? Usually, they all move in sync or pretty darn close to it, but not always. Here we go. Oh, look at that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you guys are right. Look at this. Much better signals on the YM today. All right, we'll leave the YM up. Oh yeah. Oh my, look at this beautiful trade here on the Eagle, a red bar buy. Now this was pre-market, but even as the market opened, wow, fantastic. Yeah, good call, guys. Yeah, the NQ is just being dismal today. Yeah, Jim says short the NQ or long the YM. I wonder if we should do a spread. That'd be pretty safe. We'll short the NQ. Oh yeah, look at this. We actually got a nice trend change signal here in the NQ. And they've fallen all the way back here to the primary support, or primary resistance, I should say. And here we had a, no, not really, did we? We didn't get that yellow-red combination. We actually got a sell signal at the top of the band. Isn't that unusual? All right, well, I'll let you know if I see anything promising, but right now, the NQ, really a dog's breakfast. My goodness, they're all over the map. Some days, too, this is a good opportunity. Some days when the market just won't cooperate, right? So you either start looking around at other potential markets, or you just realize that it's not your day, and the market isn't behaving. My guideline for that is if I take two solid signals, I mean solid signals, things like first micro macro cross signals. If I take them and they fail, okay, it's not impossible for a first micro macro cross to fail, but this one failed to hit our profit objective. And you always need to go from the hash mark when you're gauging this, because that's how our high probability targets are set up. But if I get a couple signals like this, high probability signals, first micro macro cross signals, macro pullback signals, and they fail to follow through, then that tells me the market is not behaving the way that it should, and maybe I'll take a look at another market. So you see, here was a first micro macro cross to the upside. Here was a first micro macro cross to the downside, which also failed. Well, yeah, it did fail, but it did trigger again. The point is, if you get too many signals, high probability signals that are not following through, then you either need to take a break, like go away for half an hour and come back, or find a different market to trade, or just stop trading entirely. Now here's a better looking 4-arrow consolidation. See how this one is setting up? We have 1, 2, 3. Here's our 4th arrow. Notice we have this bear flag-ish type formation. We have a little bit of a lower swing point here. That's sometimes nice to see on this 4th arrow. Now all we need is a little bit of commitment. There we go. Oh, look at that. I postponed my entry by a tick and they're leaving me hanging by a tick. Oh, you guys. All right, the eagle also giving us a trend change signal. The market is too neutral right now. Yeah, Jim says he's watching this 4,200 level for another sell signal. If the market gets back up there, that's where he's thinking about selling, somewhere around 4,200. That's a pretty good plan, Jim. In fact, I'm going to roll my stop just above there. Okay, the reason we're holding up where we are right now, this is near this morning's open. This is kind of the low of the day that we're toying with. So here on the eagle, we're getting a with trend sell signal. So our band has changed over. We're getting a sell signal below the lows here. And we do have a pretty good opportunity to cover above the high. Now the market actually has a little bit of room to the downside. There were some very large gains yesterday. So if you wanted, you could try to have a runner in play. Wow, what a tug of war. My goodness, look at this. We're into yellow bars now. The good news is we continue to hold this resistance area, but look, we keep making higher support as well. Oops, grab my... Well, getting a trend change signal here on the E-mini on our Falcon. Now, same thing, where actually the E-mini, we're not at the morning lows, are we? No, the E-mini, we've got a little bit more room, but the trend change signal, actually, yes, this is our first trend change signal. So the trend change signal occurs when the trend line changes color. Normally we see a little bit of reaction against it. We had a couple pushes higher here and here. Only single bar pushes, and now we've come back with the sell signal. Of course, this little area right here is giving us some grief. This is where we've had some active buying in the past. So if we can get below here, if we can see, say, 2028, 2027, 3/4, then I think we're going to start seeing some of the buyers exiting their positions. And the Dow, in spite of that massive rally early on, is starting to turn over a little bit also. We're getting a trend change signal there, and even the hawk is breaking up quite a bit. So we had a very interesting changeover here. First micro-macro cross, which is giving us a little bit of a move to the downside, but here's that same level that we're looking at on the E-mini. Well, I suppose it's a little bit higher. Look at that. Just keep beating up on these lows. Oh my gosh, these guys. The buyers are not giving it up. Thanks, James. James says 41.90 is the 10 a.m. low. So here we go. Okay, so we've hit our first profit target. We do have a runner in play. Probably a good time to engage my stops. Oh, come on, you guys, don't retrace too high. We finally got the winning side of a trade. Don't retrace too much. Here on the NQ, we did have a late filter entry signal, which tends to be a very reliable signal in the Falcon. You'll notice we had one up here also. The late filter entry signal occurs when the filter goes out of sync, but the trend line does not. And I especially like it when the trend line flattens out like this, but does not change color. When you get that signal and it comes back into sync, I very rarely see this signal fail. This is like your first micro-macro cross signal. This is a signal that's going to work 99% of the time. Here's another one. This one was drawn out a little longer, obviously. This one right here is textbook. If you want to take a screenshot and save that one for yourselves, that one is nearly perfect. And you can see when the signal did print, when everything was back in sync, it had very nice follow through. All right, so unfortunately a little bit of a deeper retracement there on the NQ, or deep enough to hit our trailing stop. The market's still very neutral at the moment. We did violate the lows, and that's good. Well, good for sellers. But we didn't really see a whole lot of commitment to it just yet. Okay. Yeah, it's still a real mess. We were working on another first micro-macro cross here, and there was hope that they were actually going to recommit to a move lower, but no, they've gotten silly again and just started going sideways. Is there a report due out today? Am I missing something? It's not Wednesday, so it can't be FOMC report pending. Maybe it's backwards day. That's what it is. E-mini and the Dow putting in another push. Here's a red bar buy signal on the E-mini. Now this may just turn out to be a test of the extreme, but there is an opportunity here to probably adjust your stops somewhat if the market does stall. So when you're looking at these types of trades, you're looking for, with resistance this close, you're looking for a chance to maybe do something with your stop loss order. And of course, if it turns from here, then we have had our test of the extreme, and the market is likely to head lower. All right, there you go. They're turning over a little bit. Come on. Okay. All right, it looks like they are turning over. That could well have been our test of the extreme. We've had a double pullback here in the Raptor. So now we're coming out, looking for that signal to print. Oh, it was trying. There's the warning dot. I'm going to get an order ready. Well, folks, I almost thought the sellers had it there. Almost. The hawk is a wash here on the NQ. It's just, you see all these yellow bars, you see all this choppiness. This is definitely a range-bound market at the moment. The E-mini and the YM are both attempting a rally of sorts. Here's the YM on the Falcon. We did have a trend change signal. So they're trying to recover the highs here. But if they fail, this will be a very good test of the extreme. And like the E-mini, we could probably anticipate it to head lower if this actually builds into a test of the extreme. But right now, as it's going sideways, it's a little bit difficult to call. Well, here we are at the top end of the trading range again. Well, they've managed to get outside of the trading range again. We'll see whether or not it holds this time. No, see, they're not honoring anything today. Yeah, like Jim says, they're just rutting about, no new highs. Hmm. All right. Well, it looks as though they're not happy moving higher. They may well try to move lower. There's not much going on today. Well, we've, we tried a few things. Nothing worth getting too excited about, though. All right. We've got a trend change signal now in the NQ, and they're pushing at the lows. Okay, well, looks like we might get a second chance on that one if it retreats into a trend line pullback. The E-mini also doing the same thing. And the Dow actually still holding fairly steady. Okay, so we're back and working on a bigger trend change signal. We're going to get a trend line touch here. That may develop into a sell signal. We're right back to the bottom end of the trading range again. Yeah, very interesting. James points out here something that looks kind of, on the Raptor, looks like it has pretty good potential. Oops, wrong tool. One second here. This is a good observation. Right here. Oh, for crying out loud. Where's my circle? Right here. As the trend was changing over, we got this yellow bar, red bar sell combo. Let's see, where is there another trend change? Oh my goodness, we've got to go back a ways to get a trend change. Well, just as it was about to change, we had a yellow-blue, or what would have been yellow-green if you formatted your charts differently. Here's a trend change again, yellow-red. Here's one yellow-blue. So you might be onto something there. There's a whole lot of support around this 41.85, 41.90 area. Well done, Dustin. Dustin says I fought my way back to a $50 profit. Done for this sorry day. Well done. Yeah, anytime you can walk away with a profit. Okay, so we're getting sell signals across the board now. Here's one in the Raptor. And probably, for the sake of a few ticks, it's probably better to enter below here. Although we're seeing a little bit of a reaction to this signal now, so you could snuggle up your entry there. We're just looking for a little bit of commitment, of which there has been none. Like I said, this whole 41.85 area is just teeming with support. Here's another sell attempt here on the Falcon. And this is also a late filter entry signal, which we know tends to be fairly reliable. Oh, see, there you go, Eric. Take a little longer to set it up. Why don't you? Well, let's just follow it. Getting a late filter entry signal on the, or sorry, not a late filter entry signal, but a trend change signal here on the E-mini. And on the E-mini, we're also into the hard edge still on the Eagle. We have had our test of the extreme. So to see the market decline from here would not be surprising, but they're taking their time getting around to it. I'm going to stay with the swing strategy on that one. It's just the market needs some elbow room. There we go. There we go. Next stop should be 4180. And if we can hang in long enough, this could end up being a major move to the downside. After all that fighting early on, of course they're going to bounce just short of our, one tick short of our first profit target. Of course they are. Again, looks like that's the tick that I gave up on the entry. I'm fairly confident now that we're below this 41.85 area, we should see the market continue a little bit lower. Like I say, 41.80 is the next major obstacle for us, I think. Getting a first micro-macro crossover signal here in the NQ, right down near the lows, which is a great place to take it from. So that's on the E-mini. The Dow a little more reluctant to turn over, and we haven't really generated a Dow signal just yet. Okay, so our Falcon trade would have worked out for us. Hooray. And now we're down into this 4180 area that we were looking at. We've slipped a little bit. Looks like we got almost as low as 4176. Ran 2 contracts here, took profit on 1. Our E-mini trade almost at our first profit target also. I may have to adopt a slightly more aggressive strategy here. What we're seeing is a reaction, of course, to this old support area through here. We'll see now whether or not the sellers keep on top of things. Come on, keep going. There they go. Boy, oh boy, they are not giving it up. Tough day today, folks. This could be the last push on the buyer's part. We might see the buyers step away. If we continue lower from here, the hawk is giving us another 4-arrow consolidation. We're working on that fourth signal right now. So we would look at taking it probably like this. Or you could set your stops a little bit deeper also, right? We know that there's big resistance or back here, so you could even place your stops above there. Maybe go in for a runner. And once again, this 4-arrow consolidation has a little bit more of a characteristic look to it. Looks a little bit more like a bear flag. It's shaping up a little bit more like a bear flag. Those are the ones that tend to be a little bit more reliable. The Dow floundering somewhat, but working on a possible trend change signal. We're getting a little bit of a mixed bag of signals here in the Dow. You see we've also got a double dot. Might be working on a double dot buy, but the trend has changed according to the trend line. So here's our down portion, here's our up portion. We'll see if they come back with another down portion. Yeah, here they are. They're doing exactly that. So we're getting the warning dot. Now with the Falcon, we tend to get 2 bars on the signal, right? Like we get the warning dot, then the next bar prints the triangle hash mark. So we'll see if this continues lower. I'll be able to guesstimate where the triangle and hash mark will print, although I have a feeling it's going to be very close to these lows right here. Oh, look at that. They gave us the triangle hash mark immediately. I'm going to try something here. I'm going to try a buy limit. And this will give me profit on 1. And it should change my trailing stop to 2 contracts. So we'll see if how that works. Because I didn't preset my runner, I'm going to see if this will allow me to do my trade adjustments while the trade is in play. Come on, Dow. You know you want to. Well, here we'll roll this up a little bit, make it easier. I want to make sure that Trade Manager is going to adjust my position. I believe it will, but I'm just double checking. Come on. Oh my gosh, come on. There we go. Okay, so it did. Trade Manager will automatically adjust your position. So that allows you to scale out of a position, even though you may not have preset your profit targets. Okay, the NQ starting to flounder a little, which is so like the NQ. Our 4-arrow consolidation worked out. We did take, or we would have hit our first profit objective, but because I ran the deeper stop, we're just going in with a single right now. And I think I may also opt for the swing high-low here. Our E-mini trade progressing nicely. I may go with the ATR strategy now. I'm trying to give this a little bit more room because, like I said, there is some room to move here lower. And our Dow trade also progressing nicely lower. So like Dustin, I might be able to claw my way back and maybe end the day with a $50 profit. Well, we finally got the market moving our direction. Well, maybe I spoke too soon. Oh, NQ, you're killing me. What's with all this pausing? The Dow is really the rocket ship today, isn't it? It's once it picks a direction, either higher or lower, it just goes. Which is kind of un-Dow-like. Usually the Dow is the one dragging its heels. Oh, no, the buyers showed up a little bit late, but they're showing up. All right, so we got stopped on a little bit of a bullish reversal, but that's okay. Well, everybody's put the brakes on now. I think we will have another opportunity here, but we might have to wait a little bit for things to resume. Okay, getting another sell signal here on the Eagle. Now, a lot of times with the Eagle, I'll look for what I call the second push entry, where I'll actually, let's try it. We're going to wait for the signal to show us how low it's going to go. So we're going to look for that reaction, which seems to be coming right about here. See how that bar is retreating a little bit? Then I'll place my entry below there, and that usually allows me to cover the trade a little bit better as well. So I'm looking now for renewed momentum to bring me in before I actually commit to the trade. Oh, they're still stalling. Boy, oh boy. All right, come on, bears. They want to go lower, they just don't know it yet. We did have something resembling a first micro-macro cross here in the hawk, but it chose not to build into a signal just yet. Might be getting a green bar sell. No, just no follow through today. But you know, it's almost to be expected. It used to be that if the market chose to rally, it would rally for 2 or 3 days in a row. And I suppose the NQ actually did give us a couple of rally days, didn't it? Now it's almost as though if you get one rally day, the next day is going to be bust. You know, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to have any follow through. Boy, oh boy, all these yellow bars through here, all this choppiness. The Falcon's looking like a roller coaster ride. Look at that. Wow. Flip a coin. Oops. All right, we might be looking at a little bit of a pullback. I'm still bearish on the NQ, however. The Dow looks like it's the strongest of the bunch at the moment. Well, we'll give it a few more minutes and then we'll might button up the room for the day. In case you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm just looking at different charts, seeing if we have any decent opportunities presenting themselves, but nothing right now. I think this is going to be one of these days where the afternoon session is actually going to be the one that's going to be performing normally. I'm using air quotes when I say that. Well, here we are again, right back to the bottom end of this trading range. Are we going to see any follow through this time? Any commitment? Okay, so here we are into the hard edge of the eagle. We're working on a green bar sell. As you can tell, I'm a little bit more prone to the short side. Sorry, James just wrote it's a swapping spit session. And that's exactly what it is. Never heard it put quite that way, but that pretty much sums it up. All right, you guys, we're going to close up the room here in a moment. If you do choose to continue trading this afternoon, if these highs hold at around 41.90 on the NASDAQ, I think we're going to see the market double over and head lower again. And if it does that, at the very least, we should be able to recover to these recent lows around 41.72, 73. However, I would not be surprised to see the NQ tail off to 41.60, maybe even as low as 41.20, which was a significant low yesterday. That's why I've been a little bit more keen on selling today, because I do believe the NQ has a lot of potential to move lower. The rest of the stock indices, well, the E-mini is setting itself up for a potential sell. Once again, just a moment here, I'll get you a E-mini chart. We've got kind of the same thing going on. This is the E-mini on the eagle. The trend has changed over. We have broken the hard edge, but remember, whenever we encounter the hard edge, we can normally expect some sort of reaction. So if this came back with a green bar sell, maybe that would be a very inviting sell signal for me on the E-mini. The Dow, well, the Dow remains the strongest of the bunch. So I'm not sure we're going to see any major declines in the Dow today. And Tom has pretty much summed up the day. He says it's a preparation H day. And I think on that note, we'll close up the room. And Wednesday, tomorrow's session is our public open house day. So I hope to see you guys there. Hopefully the market